Hey, what's going on, guys? This is It's Malcat Plays here. I'm back for Gen 5. Yep, it's that time now. You know the gist. We're going into this. It's been 4 videos by now, so yeah. However, I do have something to say, and that's that for this one in particular. As you can see, there's a bunch of like first stage Pokemon on screen, on the stage. I mean, that's because some of these buffs are not to moves or stats, but also to evolution levels. So the couple you see on screen that evolve really early, and really late, will evolve a bit earlier, because some of them made no sense to be evolved so late, and some of them just, it kind of needed to be fixed. So yeah, with that out of the way, I do hope you all enjoy this video. Oh, and again, comment some more suggestions for Pokemon from any generation that I've missed, and that'll be a final bonus episode. I'll probably give it like a month or two before doing that, because let me be honest, not that many people are commenting on stuff like that, so I'll continue waiting on that. But yeah, besides that, I do have one more thing, and that's that I am starting up I'm working on another new project, but it won't be done for a while, so I won't make a video on it just yet. Anywho, I guess let's cut to me talking about the changes I made to all these Pokemon, and I'll see you in the outro. So let's cut to well, me discussing these Pokemon. Go future me. Okay, guys, time for, well, Gen 5, as you saw in the intro. And we're starting off with Swoobat, because we always go in next order in this series. We always go in next order. It's not that big of a deal. Anyways, so, starting with Swoobat, as I just said, I buffed its defenses to 71 each, and also boosted its special attack to 100. So not only does Swoobat now hit harder, it's also a tad bit tankier. I felt like it was a bit too frail and didn't hit as hard for a fully evolved Evo that evolves via friendship, so I felt like this was a appropriate choice. Now, next up, and this video will go by a bit fast because some of them only get like one buff to the same stat every time, so at least this makes it easy on me. Starting with the first of these, they have the same buff thing, is Leavanny. Now, Leavanny now has 95 special attack. And the reason why I gave Leavanny a special attack boost is kind of because, like, it has, like, various amount of special attacking moves it can use, like Air Slash, Bug Buzz, Giga Drain, Solar Beam, and I felt like it could just use those a bit more efficiently now, especially Leaf Storm, which would benefit it a lot, so I just saw it as a way to make Leaf Storm a bit more powerful while also keeping its physical attack mentality to, like, you could use Leaf Storm, get a powerful hit off, have decreased special attack, and then switch to Leaf Blade or something. That's how I see it anyways. Next up is Lilligant. Now, Lilligant did get a small debuff, which that is to its attack stat, which went from 60 to 50. That's not that big of an issue, because I boosted its defenses to 80 each. So, it's a tad bit bulkier, but not really too bulky, not that big of a change, and it's pretty reasonable, to say the least, to give it this small little defense boost, so it's a bit more tanky compared to Hisuian Lilligant, but that's just me and how I see it. Now, next up is Basculin, specifically red and blue striped form Basculin, because White Stripe has the evolution, so I felt like we should change the other two up just to make them more unique, and the first step to doing that is to make them both dark type. The reason why I chose this is because there's many dex entries that state their vicious tendencies and violent behavior towards one another, so I pictured like two dark types just clashing against one another a lot. Which is also why I did give it access to learn the move Lash Out, which makes sense due to its, again, very aggressive behavior, and I think that was a reasonable choice, not gonna lie. It also gives him a small other form of stab, but at the same time, Basculin has Crunch right there, so now it gets Stab Crunch. Sure, it's gets a few more weaknesses, but at the same time, like, I kind of like the idea behind the differences now. Plus this buff was inspired by an M&J TV video, and I like the buff idea of changing it to part dark, while White Stripe is just a pure water type that evolves into a ghost type. So yeah, there we go. Now next up is Maractus, and Maractus got a very significant buff, and it is again based on another YouTube video I saw, so bear with me here. Now first of all, we're going to start with stats. So first of all, it now has 77 in both defense stats, and it now has 70 speed. So a tad bit bulkier, tad bit faster. Not a big change, but not a bad one, to say the least. However, due to the fact we were stuck with the Sword and Shield move list, this is where it gets complicated. Because I changed its moveset up quite a bit, and we were using the Sword and Shield moveset, because that's the one that we have access to, so keep that in mind when I talk about this. So, starting off, now we're going to make this kind of a very significant change. So, at level 1, Maractus has access to Water Gun, and at level 24 has access to Water Pulse. Level 56 has access to Hydro Pump. You can also get Hydro Pump via TR, so keep that in mind. Now, the reason why it gets all these water moves is because it's a cactus, and cactuses store a lot of water. Unlike Cacnea and Cacturn, who have sand. They have sand for blood. It's quite literally in their dex entries, so it makes sense they didn't get water moves. But I feel like since Maractus is more of a jolly kind of Pokemon, I feel like having this would make a little bit more sense. Now, for egg moves, I gave it access to Counter and Teeter Dance. And if you're wondering how you're going to get them via egg move, I suggest breeding Maractus with Breloom and Lombre, because they can get them relatively easily. Now, for TM moves, I didn't do much, but for TR moves, again, I have Hydro Pump, but also Stored Power, since it's a cactus and it stores a lot of water, so I felt like that made sense. Nothing crazy there. So yeah, Maractus got a lot of coverage moves with water type stuff, and it also has access to Rain Dance, so not only does it weaken its fire weakness, but also strengthens the water moves it can use. I'm pretty sure I can learn Rain Dance. Yeah, I can learn Rain Dance, it's right above Psychic. Okay, now next up is Garbodor, and Garbodor again just got special attack boosted, which is going to be a very common trope. So the reason why I boosted Garbodor's special attack from 60 to 91 is because Garbodor has a lot of special moves in its arsenal that I think it can make use of. For instance, it has not only a bunch of poison moves that are special, but also has access to Solar Beam, Psychic, Thunderbolt. It has access to Focus Blast. I feel like all those would do really nicely for it. So yeah. Anyways, next up is Gothitelle. Now Gothitelle, again, got a special attack boost. It went from 95 to 115. And it's because I feel like it was a bit weak compared to Pokemon like Gardevoir and Hatterene, so I just gave it a tiny bit buff so I can compare to those two. However, to the counterpart, Reuniqueless, I instead boosted its defenses from 75 and 85 to both of them being 90. I know it seems a bit much, but honestly, it was a 20-point difference for Gothitelle, so it should be a 20-point difference for Reuniqueless. Since I do see them as counterparts in a way, I know they don't really have a counterpart vibe, but they're both 3-stage psychic types from the same generation, and they're version exclusive, so we're gonna go off that. Next up is Swanna, who, again, got a special attack boost, because most of the moves I see Swanna using, while they do have a lot of physical options like Aerial Ace and Brave Bird, and they do have some physical water coverage with like Liquidation and Flip Turn, I more or less see more special attacking moves being used by Swanna, like for instance Air Slash, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump, which is where a majority of its coverage lies. So yeah, that's where I see keep that. So Swine's more of a special attacker. Next up is Sawsbuck, which for once did not get a special attack boost. Instead, it got a physical attack boost as well as a speed boost. So it now has 120 attack and 100 speed. So attack it faster and hits a lot harder. So pretty reasonable for that, for Sawsbuck. Next is Emolga, who also got a very good offensive boost since I changed its attack stats from both of them being 75 to both of them being 85. Now, it hits a tad harder. It's still pretty fast and frail, but I feel like it should hit a little harder to compensate. Next is Jellicent, who, again, got a special attack boost. It's also 115, but to compensate that, I also took away 30 points from its speed to achieve this. So now, its speed is 30, and its special attack is 115, which means it's a good Trick Room Pokemon. Like, you can use it in Trick Room to deal a lot of damage and also take a decent amount of hits with its really respectable 100 HP and 105 special defense. Now, for Alola Mola, I didn't really buff its stats at all. I didn't really know how I would fix the stats since it has so much HP. But what I did instead was give it access to Follow Me, which it now learns via level up. So now it can be more of a staller Pokemon, even though, let's be honest, its defense stat is... both of its defense and offense stats is just not really good. Next up is Galvantula. Now for Galvantula, I boosted its attack to 87, and I boosted its special attack to 110. So it hits a little harder, and for the physical buff, it is actually a really good thing it gets this buff, because it has like Sucker Punch and like Leech Life, X Scissor, it has Wild Charge, it has Throat Chop, and Lunge, so I feel like it's a pretty reasonable, it even has Poison Jab, which is pretty good, so giving it a bit more physical attack kind of makes sense, but also I also see it being more special anyways, so giving it that extra bit of special attack is really good. Now, for Clink and Clang and Clink Clang, well, Clink and Clang, they were kind of added last second because I felt like it should make sense for this buff. Now, for Clink and Clang, I gave them new abilities, as well as Clink Clang, so the whole line gets a new ability. So, for Clink, instead of Plus, it gets Light Metal. For Clang, instead of Plus, it gets Heavy Metal, and same goes for Clink Clang, where it gets Heavy Metal instead of Plus. Now, also for Clink Clang, I buffed its special attack to 85, so it can hit a little better specially. It has a lot of special options regarding like electric moves and stuff, so I felt like it made sense to buff that. Next up is Beartic, who in this case got just a speed boost. It's now 60 base speed. So when paired with Slush Rush and Swift Swim, it's now really fast in snow and rain. So yeah, like goes from 60 to like 120. So that's pretty solid. Now, time for a bit of a bigger buff, and that is to Stunfisk. Now, to Unova Stunfisk, all I did was add 10 points to defense, making it 94. However, for Galarian Stunfisk, I add 10 points to attack, making that 91. So now, Unova Stunfisk is more defensive, and Galarian Stunfisk is more offensive. Now then, for Galarian Stunfisk, I also did do a couple extra things. And one of them is give it 3 specific moves: Thunderfang, Play Rough, and Psychic Fangs. And the reason why I gave this is because it has access to Snap Trap. Now, why this is important is because they play a part into Mimicry, which is its signature ability. Mimicry changes its type depending on terrain, meaning it becomes a Grass type, a Fairy type, an Electric type, and a Psychic type. So it gave it a stab option for all of those. And some of them make sense, like, it already had access to Ice Fang, so Thunderfang made sense, like if you put like some paralyzing poison agent on a bear trap and it just bites down on the target, that makes sense. in Play Rough, it's a rough time getting bitten by a bear trap, and Psychic Fangs, also, it's again because it's a bear trap. The Fang moves make sense. Which is why, since Mimicry is a very situational ability, I also gave it 2 more abilities. For its second ability, it has Arena Trap, which makes sense. It's a bear trap. It's legit a trap. Why doesn't it have this ability? I'm not sure. And also, for its hidden ability, I gave it Strong Jaw, which pairs well with Psychic Fangs, Thunder Fang, Ice Fang, Crunch, and also, I forgot one more move. So, I rearranged Galarian Stunfisk's move pool, so at level 40, Stunfisk learns Flail instead of Muddy Water, and in return, it learns Jaw Lock at level 50, since I feel like Jaw Lock's a bit more of an impressive move than that. So, I honestly think that's kind of a pretty good move to learn at level 50. I mean, it's a move that not only is a biting move, so it gets boosted by Strong Jaw, but also traps the opponent, thus it's Arena Trap again. So I would say it's a relatively good buff for them. Now, next up is Mienfoo / also Mienshao. I know they weren't on the stage. Same thing with Clink and Clang. They were a last second edition. So, Mienfoo evolves into Mienshao at level 50. And I thought that was absurd since Mienshao has the same BST as Lucario. So, I decreased its evolution level to level 35, which would be around the time that when you get your Riolu, it probably evolved if you didn't use any changes in regards to, like, using stuff to boost friendship. So, I picture level 35 being around that time. So, there you have it. Like, if you're winning battles, you heal it, and you get the point. The point is that around that time, I pictured Lucario to be a thing, like level 28 to 35, so I made Mienfoo evolve into Mienshao at level 35 instead of level 50, because let's be honest, that is egregious. You're stuck using a Pokemon with 350 BST until level 50. At least make it level 35. That makes it a lot better. Next up is Druddigon, who just got a defense buff from 90 to 110, which pretty short. Not that much going on here. Next up is Pawniard, and technically Bisharp, Pawniard now evolves into Bisharp at level 42. Because again, waiting till level 52 when you have a Pokemon with 340 BST is absurd, and sure, while it's not a big change, I also took the movesets into account to where it would feel like it would make sense for them to evolve. So, at level 42, it would be between Night Slash and Iron Defense in regards to its move pool. So, when it goes into Bisharp, it's pretty reasonable to say that. That would make sense. I mean, I could have done level 35 as well. Make it to where it learns Slash and then it evolves. Or just straight up level 40 where it learns Night Slash and evolves. You know what? Yeah, I'm changing that. It now evolves into Bisharp at level 40. Just 40. So, when you learn Night Slash is when you evolve. I feel like that makes sense. Or it could be level 30. Now thinking about it, I mean, that is when level 35 is when you get Slash, which I feel like actually makes more sense. You know what? I'm changing the buff. At level 35, you get a Bisharp. Because let me be honest, that actually makes more sense. Now, next up is Braviary. Now, I didn't change the evolution level, because honestly, well, it is rough to use a Rufflet to level 54. I kind of didn't want to change the dynamic, and since it's a pretty powerful Pokemon already, it's just getting a small buff. That being, it's no longer a normal flying type, it's a fighting flying type, and that's only for Unova and Braviary. Also, it's a nice duality with Unovan being fighting, Hisuian being psychic, and then Mandibuzz being dark, so it's kind of like a weird type triangle thing there. Next up is Heatmore, who did get a significant buff in regards to its stats as well as to its move pool. So starting with stats, it now has 76 in both defenses, 95 HP, 102 attack, and 110 special attack, which is pretty significant. Anyways, so I did buff its move pool a bit, so starting with the TM moves it can learn in Gen 8, now has access to Rock Slide, which already had access to Rock Tomb, so I don't know why I did not have access to Rock Slide. Kind of weird, but okay. And it also now has access to Bulldoze, which is pretty good. It already has Stomping Tantrum, might as well give it Bulldoze. I mean, it also lives on like a rocky cliff side in Gen 5, so like some rock and ground moves should be incorporated. As well as the fact that now in its TR move pool has access to Earthquake, as well as 2 coverage moves, that being Power Whip and Scald. It does bring up Steam or some kind regarding like from its tail, so Scald makes sense. It already has access to like Seed Bomb or Giga Drain and Solar Beam in its TR move pool, so I figured a physical move made sense. And since it has that long tail, that long tongue, Power Whip just makes sense to me to give it. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. I did leave out the fact that with Heatmore, I gave it access to Defiant, so it gets a physical attack boost. And I felt like that made sense, in my opinion, because I feel like making it more of a mixed attacker makes a bit more sense, so Defiant on Heatmore. Okay. Now next up is Durant. Now initially I was going to give him Heat Proof just to be funny, but I felt like that was a bit much. So what I instead did was just give it the same amount of points I gave to Heatmore in terms of boosting its stats. So now it has 117 defense, 78 HP, and 63 special defense. Which, while it won't help him in the long run, it at least makes it a tad bit tankier, so yeah. Makes it a bit more defensive, a bit more of a tank, but not really, because one Fire Blast should... not even Fire Blast, one Flamethrower should get the job done. Okay, so next up is Dino, and I did the same thing I did for Poniard and Mian Fu, and that is reduce its evolution level. So instead of waiting till level 50 to get Zweilous, you just get at level 40, and I felt like that was reasonable, so that way it made a little sense to why it was so high up, but also not super high to where you only get Zweilous for 14 levels, so now it's 24 levels you get to hang out with Zweilous. And again, I take movesets into consideration as to what point would make sense for them to learn it, and I feel like having it learn Dragon Pulse just made sense, and then you evolves, so yeah. Anyways, next up is Arvesta, who again gets a reduced evolution level. It's at level 59, it's level 45, and it does match into a pretty decent spot between Bug Buzz and Takedown, so it makes sense. But I did also buff Volcarona, and Volcarona has the hit ability Swarm normally, and I felt like that was wasted potential for a Pokemon that is not only called the Sun Pokemon, but is in its Dex entry and lore compared to the Sun in various occasions. Like, it's the rage of the sun, or it can replace the sun, or is the light of the sun, and stuff like that. So I gave Volcarona the new hidden ability of Drought. And trust me, this helps it a lot. Like, I mean that. It truly helps it a lot for its value and competitive now, because now you have a hidden ability that just sets up Sun, and that seems pretty fire to me, not gonna lie. And last and not least is Keldeo. Now, this is specifically regarding ordinary form Keldeo, because it doesn't make sense. And what do I mean by that? Well, you see, ordinary form Keldeo is as strong as Resolute form Keldeo, which makes no sense. I mean, you would think that the Resolute form would be stronger than the ordinary form, but no, they're the same stats. So, I'm not buffing Keldeo. I'm nerfing Keldeo in order to make it more thematic with its alternate form. Thus, ordinary form Keldeo shall now be weaker than resolute form Keldeo. And it makes sense, because its resolute form is only achieved via training with the Swords of Justice and learning its signature move, which is Secret Sword, not say, yeah, by learning Secret Sword. So, keep that in mind. So, now, in regards to what I did, I reduced its stats up by a lot. So, starting with the reduced stats, that's essentially just showing off the entire base stat total. Its HP and attack remain unchanged because I felt like they were pretty decent for what they are. However, the defense stat and special defense stat are now 65, its special attack is now 99, and its speed is now 88. Which means that I reduced it by like 100 points. Now it's 480 BST. But when it goes to resolute form, it gets back to its original self, and its power now shows. And again, I felt like just making it more thematic and more like you want to use resolute form Keldeo makes more sense. Because again, resolute form Keldeo being as strong as ordinary form Keldeo means that resolute form is just for aesthetic, not gonna lie. But now it's not only a new form with a better aesthetic, but now it's stronger than the ordinary form that of Keldeo. So yeah, ordinary form Keldeo is now weaker, thus making resolute form Keldeo better in comparison, because honestly, I don't know why this is the case. I don't know why this is the case. But anyways, yeah, that's it. I just changed his whole dynamic and made it more thematic to their lore and stuff. So yeah, I guess back to past me doing the outro, and I'll see you all in a second, I guess. See y'all Gen 6. It probably will be shorter than this one. I don't know. There's not that many more to change. Okay, anyways, guys, I thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you don't agree with any of these changes, or some of them at all, or you want certain Pokemon to get a bigger change, yes, let me know in the comments, and as well as leave suggestions for Pokemon I missed. And yeah, so yeah, I guess see you all Gen 6, which about Generation 6, it's probably not gonna be as long as like this video and Hoenn, which were the longest ones by far. Or I think it's relatively short, actually. When it regards to Gen 6, because there really isn't that many changes is going to be made. It will still probably be like 20, maybe 30 minutes long due to editing and length and stuff like that. But you get, yeah, you get it. So, yeah, I'll see you for Gen 6 and start working on Gen 7. So, yeah, peace out. Bye.